Imagine you're a French king in the 1500s. Your navy just got crushed, courtiers are sweating, advisors are spinning soft stories, and no one wants to say the obvious. You lost. Then the jester walks in, cracks a joke about English sailors who don't even have the guts to jump overboard, and somehow delivers the devastating truth without losing his head. Now fast forward 500 years. You're a CEO. Your transformation is off the rails, costs are ballooning, and the board is restless. You hire a glossy consulting firm. They deliver a 120-page deck, a new operating model, and a bill that makes your eyes water. Are modern consultants the spiritual descendants of those court fools, the only people licensed to tell hard truths? Or are they something else entirely? I'm your host, and this is The Contrarian Leader. Let's get into it. While you're fed a diet of shiny new fads, this is the place we cut through it all and reach for the evidence that actually moves the needle for you and your organization. I'm Brian Plowman, your friendly horsefly, here to keep us sharp and challenge the assumptions and fads that don't deliver. Today, we're diving into the research to answer a question every executive quietly asks. Does bringing in a business consultant actually deliver value, or are we just paying for expensive political cover? First, the historical side of the comparison between modern consultants and court fools, because the research is surprisingly rich. Medieval and early modern court jesters occupied a unique institutional slot. Historians call it the jester's privilege. They could address monarchs with frank, often biting commentary that would have been career-ending, or life-ending, for any other court official. Why? Well, because fools were believed to sit closer to the truth. Whether they were natural fools, people who had cognitive disorders thought to lack guile, or artificial fools, highly intelligent professionals performing the role, their outsider status freed them from the rigid hierarchy of deference. Humor was the delivery system. Criticism would arrive wrapped in levity, so the medicine went down. Here's a few concrete examples from the research. Triboulet under Louis XII and Francis I of France, legendary for sharp political wit. Stanzik at the Polish court, famous for delivering uncomfortable truths to kings. William Somer at Henry VIII's court. When the king complained about empty coffers, Somer replied that the king had so many frauditors, conveyors, and deceivers collecting the money that they kept it all themselves. A direct shot at corrupt courtiers. And the classic 1340 incident. King Philippe VI of France learns of a crushing naval defeat. His jester delivers the news with a quip about English sailors who don't even have the guts to jump into the water like our brave French, softening the blow while still conveying the reality. As one historian put it, other court functionaries cooked up the king's facts before delivery. The jester delivered them raw. The research is clear. The jester was an institutional mechanism for truth-telling in an environment where honesty was dangerous. In some cultures, particularly South Asian traditions, a king was hardly considered complete without his jester. So when researchers and commentators look at today's management consultants, the analogy is almost irresistible. External advisors who sit outside the hierarchy, claim to speak uncomfortable truths, and wrap recommendations in polished frameworks and PowerPoints. But does the parallel hold? And more importantly, does the modern version actually create value? The research presents a mixed, nuanced picture, so let's walk through the evidence. Let's start with the positive side. Client satisfaction numbers look really strong. Approximately 93% of senior leaders report that consulting has a positive impact on their organizations. That's self-reported, of course, but it's a large and consistent finding. ROI studies using rigorous methodologies, Forrester's Total Economic Impact approach, for example, show striking returns in specific cases. 400% ROI in one GitLab study, 476% in an airship engagement, multi-million-dollar value creation for enterprise clients. McKinsey's own research, and yes, we note the source, indicates that large-scale transformations, major cost programs, and digital rollouts frequently underdeliver without structured external guidance. The implication is that external support raises the probability of success. There's also a knowledge transfer angle. When clients have strong absorptive capacity, the ability to acquire, assimilate, and exploit external knowledge, consulting engagements deliver significant benefits, especially for smaller firms that otherwise lack specialized expertise. So the research does not say consulting is useless. Under the right conditions, it can create measurable economic value and help organizations execute complex change. Now for the other side of the ledger, because the research is far from unanimous. One academic review concludes that research on the benefits of strategy consulting is limited and inconclusive. Many of the glowing ROI studies are commissioned by the consulting firms themselves, raising obvious questions about independence. A 1982 Harvard Business Review piece noted that much of the money spent on consultants pays for impractical data and poorly implemented recommendations. That critique has never fully gone away. Effectiveness hinges heavily on the client. If the organization lacks absorptive capacity, if it can't take the advice, adapt it, and execute, gains are minimal. Advice without implementation support often evaporates. And then there's the political dimension. Jamie Dimon, CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase, once described consulting firm recommendations as, quote, like a good housekeeping seal of approval. It's political, so if you make a decision, you can say, it's not my fault, it's their fault. In other words, consultants are sometimes hired not for insight, but for legitimacy, to provide cover for decisions already made. That is the opposite of the Jester approach. Which brings us to the heart of the comparison, truth-telling. Jesters were protected by royal privilege. They could not be fired for saying the uncomfortable thing. Their primary incentive was aligned with the survival of the realm, or at least the entertainment of the king. Consultants have no such protection. They can lose the client, damage their firm's reputation, or end their own careers. Market incentives favor keeping the peace. One article by Inc. puts it bluntly, consultants are rewarded for keeping peace, not telling the truth. The best talent sometimes leaves rather than compromise candor. External consultants do enjoy more independence than internal ones. They're not bound by the client's hierarchy or the politics of the game. But commercial reality still shapes the message. The research points to a middle path that the best practitioners aim for: compassionate candor. Present the truth clearly, with objective evidence, framed around the organization's long-term interests, and paired with practical alternatives. That approach is both ethical and commercially smart, because happy, successful clients become repeat clients. Yet, the darker pattern persists. When clients primarily want political cover, the consultant is no longer delivering raw facts the way a jester did. They're supplying the appearance of rigorous analysis to justify predetermined outcomes. Key differences that the research highlights then: jesters had protected status, consultants can be fired tomorrow. Jesters' primary incentive was truth, or at least the performance of it. Consultants is repeat business and reputation. Jesters served as a check on power. Consultants sometimes legitimize power's preferred narrative. A king needed his fool, but a modern client can switch firms overnight. So, does using a business consultant deliver value? The research-based answer is, it can, and often does, but it is highly conditional. When three conditions are present: Number one, the client has real absorptive capacity. Number two, the engagement focuses on genuine problem solving rather than political cover. And three, the consultants practice compassionate candor rather than pure people pleasing. If those are all met, then value creation is measurable and sometimes dramatic. Satisfaction scores, independent ROI cases, and transformation data all support that conclusion. But when those conditions are absent, the money is frequently spent on impractical recommendations, poorly transferred knowledge, or expensive justification of decisions already made. Unlike the medieval jester, the modern consultant is not institutionally protected to speak truth to power. The business model rewards client retention, and that tension never fully disappears. The practical takeaway for leaders is therefore not hire consultant or never hire consultants. It is hire them the way that a wise king used a skilled artificial fool. Demand raw facts delivered with skill. Insist on knowledge transfer so the capability stays inside the organization, and never outsource the final accountability for the decision. Because the jester could only warn the king still had to act. That's the research, that's the comparison, and that's the conclusion. If this episode made you rethink your next consulting engagement, or your last one, share it with a colleague who needs to hear it. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. In a world full of leadership noise, keep reaching for the evidence that moves the needle. Stay sharp, keep challenging those outdated assumptions, and go make something better. This is the Contrarian Leader. I'm pulling for you. See you next time.